You know, Tox has been playing just as many practice games as anyone, and he is one of the game's more prominent streamers. There's plenty of opportunities to watch him practice, and he does look to be on top form. In this large setting, and we've talked before about how Tox can have good days and bad days. We're going to get all that information we need, I would think, from potentially our first map, and we'll kind of see what form he's on. He's going straight into Slash, which is just, it makes the most sense. It's kind of crazy to me how you can take a champion like Slash, and there are people that play her really well, and Tox still manages to be that one step above what is already perfection. It's pretty outrageous.
Well, I just baited you into making a prediction, so what does that mean? Translate
my prediction is I think it's going to be Tox. Wouldn't be surprised if it's close, but my money is definitely on the Swede.
All right.
What
do you think?
I think I agree, Tox. I was calling 35 maps, but I think Tox is going to take it 3-1.
Okay. Even throwing out a map score. Look at that.
3-1.
Loving up the game. Jahar.
He's been on the apps all week long. He's just been tapping along on it. I haven't really had the opportunity to, but
been working too hard.
I think Tox, if he's doing well, I think 3-1 is probably a pretty good estimate there. I think Psygib, he's been incredibly consistent, and that's been the thing. So I'm going to say Tox just for fun, because the opportunity to see Tox at that peak form is better than anything else.
I'm going to agree with you all this time. I kind of agree. I think also you talk about experience, and Tox as a player has been on many stages, many times, in many different countries. And so I'm not even sure that is an element that he's having to combat against. So the Terminator versus the Enigma, who will come out on top? Well, it's going to be Zoot and Ketchup who will help tell that story. Gentlemen, take it away.
Thank you very much, Ketchup. We're here again. We've got a super exciting game ahead of us. There's an unbelievable mechanical skill in particular, I think, from both of these players. It's probably what shines through anything else that's going to be happening on the maps.
Yeah, for sure. And for those of you out there that are wondering what to expect, well, we have a little video for you. Now, not to put him on a pedestal, not because he's currently sitting on a pedestal on screen, that genuinely was not intentional. If you haven't seen this guy play Slash before, just on the off chance that there are viewers out there that are tuning into Quake, you haven't seen it for a while, you've caught it on Twitch, you're in for a real treat. Obviously Doomslayer on Awoken is a real staple champion as well, but it's very fast. I mean, there are very few champions that have the speed.
I want to hype it. I really want to hype it, but also Psygib's got a good track record on Awoken versus Tox. So as much as I'm super excited about it, this is a tricky map to, I think, excel with Slash. And although we can see some incredible things, I think this could be one of the maps that Psygib may end up taking, even though Tox is playing Slash.
Well, we're moments away from finding out as we're loading into map number 1. It's going to be Psygib. It's going to be Toxic. We'll see how this one turns out, but that patented Slash, I'm certainly excited to see it once more.
Let's do this, guys. We are in game now. We are on Psygib to begin with. He's on Doomslayer, has got the heavy armor, and he's surely going to get himself that rocket launcher as quick as possible. The guy's just recuperating on the weapons, and then we could get fireworks in the middle.
This is always the crazy beginning, where the map's evenly split, catches the immediate rocket, and Toxic is going to fall on the 23-second mark, caught in the wrong part of town with those directs, looking good.
That's the thing with Slash. If you walk into one direct rocket and you're just put into a corner, up by a wall, you're not going to be able to do much. You're so fragile as a light champion, it hurts so much.
Psygib barely missing that rail. The important thing, though, is that he is going for those angles. That's just good information for us, really, to say that he's not afraid to pick his spots. But right now, impressive stack for Psygib. There's no real reason to overextend just yet. Trying to get a little bit of information. Is he going to sit near the heavy, perhaps? Hold this angle, because, I mean, ultimately, if he can get the heavy, he's in a wonderful position, even if he gets ambushed.
Not a terrible rocket, but Psygib still has some overstack, and armor barely hurt at all. Looking to pick off a rail. Won't happen. Tox is going to get something to work with at the moment, so it's certainly not going to be easy for either of them. A possible meeting up a connector. Psygib's going to miss the first shot. Tox has got a good chance off the beginning, but he's going to pop the plasma trail, try and get out of there. He's only on 75 HP, and that is not enough to withstand that rail. very risky play. It's like he hesitated before he went through that teleporter.
And then when you go through the teleport, you're swiftly reminded why maybe it wasn't the best of ideas. Psygib, the composure and a lot of respect being shown to say, hey, look, I know you're going to come through there. I'm just going to sit here and wait. The opportunity came and he seized it with both hands, but the controller's been in Psygib's hands pretty much the entire map so far. Gets some rockets, Toxic still weak, goes in for the rail, and it's not enough. That's unfortunate, really betting big there, and it just didn't work out.
That double jump as well, I think, messed with Tox wanting to hit that rail. I think Tox was trying to bring some confidence to the beginning of the game, but getting shut down at the connector early on, it seems to have really hampered the way that he's approached the map. Obviously, we're only 2 minutes into it, but Tox, he needs to be able to get into some control with some armor. He has got the heavy, and then he can maybe try and ramp up the pace again. It's just difficult when Psygib's holding such good defensive angles.
When we look at what makes Slash really effective on certain maps is her constant speed, being able to hit these big, long jumps. Awoken is almost entirely closed quarters with the exception of the middle section. So in these situations, Psygib, of which taken a couple of rails, a few more of those and Toxic left in a better position.
Whoa.
There it is! Looking for it, and he finds it. My point was that Toxic's going around these corners, and his mobility doesn't really help him all that much. But now he catches him again, and just like that, we see 2 frags. Looking for the spawn, but he gets the wrong side. Looking for the left, but it should have been right.
Still manages to get the rail though, so it's good damage, and he's going to try and move in. It's going to be very difficult for Psygib to defend this. Here comes the Plasma Troll. You are not running away from this, Psygib. That is 3 for 3. Turn things fast, gets the rail off the spawn. Surely going to try and chase this one up. There's another rail! Tox now in the lead.
It's insane how he's so far behind for about 3 minutes, and in the blink of an eye, the tide has been turned. And not only that, but it's 4 frags looking to get a 5th. That's like, what, 1 minute and 5 frags? What is going on here, Zoo?
And he's finding him again. He gets the rail, but he still has a little life left in him. Does he want to try and poke an angle onto Heavy? Tox a little bit shy from that instant, so Psygib's going to try and escape with some of this armor intact. One rail, can't get the angle in time. Psygib's going to be grateful for that. Experimental tri-bolt jump. Happens.
I feel like it was just a matter of flow, honestly. It just took a little bit of time for Toxic to really get online, and now he is. We're starting to see what really makes him such a famous player, not only in Quake Champions, but you know, many, many different ones.
Plasma Troll again. Rapid angle. Going to cut down any push that wants to happen mid-map, so this could be a nice free heavy armor for him. Psygib's got to be really careful. That tri-ball actually did trickle down some damage. Here come the rockets going in rapidly, trying to stick with that weapon. Makes the switch away, but Psygib survives that, and the stacks have been equalized quite nicely until we see a rail like that.
It's just, it really is coming from these insanely high-level rails, of which you're going to bet it? Oh no, of course not. Opts to keep it safe. And now here comes the movement of Slash really in full effect, how fast she can navigate the map. Yes, she falls victim to some of those ambushes at close range, like Psygib did at the start of the game, but when Toxic's able to just glide around this map without issue, and in this fight, he's going to try and survive here. Oh, looking for a rail angle, but not quite.
On the rails left, so okay, he's finally going to get ammunition back for that. Will survive with 100 points of health. Looks for the rail, but the pillar gets in the way. Psygib lands an amazing shot himself, going in with the LG, but the rocket to rail! How does Tox come out on top there? Unbelievable from him. And Psygib, again, he's getting some items right off the spawn, but he's immediately under pressure.
And Toxic's going to have the understanding that Psygib's realistically here, he's only really going to have a rocket launcher, so I don't think he quite reached the LG just yet. Catches him in the air, tries so hard, but I love the recovery there. And yeah, as I expected, Psygib wasn't quite able to reach that LG. Forced away early, but the rocket was more than sufficient to get the job done.
It's a little tricky for Psygib. Being down at that light armor, you're kind of cut off from a lot of the map, but you know, Tox doesn't actually pressure onto the heavy, so we're going to get a fair exchange on the major items. I thought for a second that Psygib might have been in a little bit of trouble just off of Tox's fresh spawn.
So now on a little bit of breathing space, which we haven't been granted too much access to throughout the course of this map.
Wow, the direct rocket straight away. Now Psygib's railable. I'm not entirely sure that Tox has got the rail, but it might not matter if he's moving it with LG and rockets. That's going to be another. We got 7 for Tox. Plasma Troll being used. He's going to take the heavy, quickly cut up over at the Mega Health. Full control for the Swede, and he might even chase him through this teleporter. Lightning gun on lightning gun. Psygib has got some defensive rockets out and will manage to push Tox away. Good push from Tox, good pressure, but now it's going to be up about the items very, very soon.
They have a little bit of time until that Heavy's about to spawn, but that rail's going to put him behind Psygib. He's pretty far away. He's not going to be able to fight for this Heavy at all, and Tox, with the instant crouch slide, he's going to be able to get out of there easily. Mega's going to be given up, but swiftly undone by the fact that Psygib's sitting on no armor. And no armor and a rail, not exactly the best of friends. Oh wow, Tox could totally take this if he finds his mark. There it is!
Wow. This is the quality that we expect from Tox.
You know, we talked about combat. We talked about combat skill and how it really sets Tox apart. There are so many fights how you're shocked he's even able to survive it, but he just hits this magic shot that so many players would not be able to land.
A lot of us dream of landing these shots. This is brilliant from Tox. Can he keep up this pressure? We've still got just about 2.5 minutes left to go. Psygib, it is possible for him to come back if he's able to get a very clean frag and then find him off the spawn. It could be tricky for Tox. There's a really good couple of rockets from Psygib, but he needs to land that follow-up. Here comes the plasma trail. Tox wants to make it close. He goes up the bounce pad. There isn't a mega health there at all, so Psygib now gets to make a choice. He wants mega, and he really wants to get the heavy after.
Toxic staying alive, but barely, but not a lot of resources on this side of the map. He's having to quickly detour, but at all times, he is at great risk. One rail, and he's going to be deleted. And now we should be starting to catch the next little bit of a rotation, so he can run around and pick up those small little health bubbles. Really making sure not to give himself away, because he does not want to give up a free frag here to Psygib. And as long as he's got that crouch slide, he might be able to escape. Instant rocket jump. Nice little maneuver there. Toxic, the one thing he had to do to stay alive, otherwise he was trapped.
That was, yeah, literally the only move that he could make to keep himself alive. But Psygib's got to start getting the rocket jumps out himself. He's got to start being aggressive. Tox trying to be slippery on the floor. And now he can start really thinking about time. It's not about getting back into control, it's about keeping away from Psygib as long as possible. Psygib's moving in. He's got to put some pressure on. And look at that, the stacks have almost been equalized at this stage. This is amazing from Tox.
With that 94 HP, Tox will still survive a rail from this health, so Psygib can't quite turn to it. The time it takes for the rail to land and then recharge for the next shot, Slash will already be out there.
Psygib's just struggling to close the gap at the moment. This 5 frags lead is becoming larger and larger as the clock ticks closer and closer to that 10-minute mark.
Yeah,
Tox is so evasive.
One of the issues with Doomslayer, he has amazing mobility in terms of his double jump, but yep, ring out. At last, some breathing space there, Psygib. Getting the job done a bit faster. There's still plenty of work left to do. He needs 4 frags to even tie things up. And Toxic looking at a slightly better stack. He is going to get mega, but I'm just thinking of the time that's being wasted.
Yep.
Psygib needs to try and make something happen, and Toxic is not going to make it easy by any stretch. Doomslayer definitely not one of the fastest champions in the game. Slash should be able to kind of run rings around him for the foreseeable. This is a good position, but I mean, how much risk is Psygib going to have to take here? He's so weak. He had to try.
Yep. Has no choice whatsoever. Tox now puts himself onto 10 frags, and he's going to coast his way to a match 1 victory. Maybe look to find another as he goes for the nail gun. Taking a lot of damage. Psygib will probably have the last kill of the map. Well, ladies and gents, that is 10-6 to Tox. 1-0 for the Swede.
Now, you mentioned before that of all the maps that we've seen in this rotation, potentially this was the one that Psygib had the best chance on.
Yeah, I'm happy to say I'm wrong, by the way.
Yeah, not only did he...
Stunning Slash play.
But that's it. Not only did he lose the map, but it was pretty convincing there for Tox by the end. And it just came down to that one spree that we saw at the very beginning. You know, it was off to a really good start there for Psygib, who was in a position where, even there, he was making perfect reads. Toxic, the little bit of a head nod of, okay, you got me. But the moment it was 3-0 here, and Tox got these just fantastic shots, the snowball effect that comes with how Tox approaches this game, where he is not afraid to just chase constantly, because his accuracy is out of this world. Like, come on, man, look at that.
That frag was ridiculous because Psygib was actually ahead in that situation, health and armor-wise, but it's, again, Tox. The mechanical skills are unbelievable. I think Psygib, the shake of the head, he's not going to be happy with how that turned out. He knows he bought some opportunities where he should have done better than he actually did.
I mean, what do you do in this situation, right? That's always the eternal question, where you face someone like Tox on a map like this, and some of the frags that he pretty much stole away by just having this ridiculously good accuracy on the rail. I mean, you normally try and stay at certain ranges, and you don't want to peek certain sides of maps and corners and that. Because, hey, look, I'm going to respect this guy's accuracy, and if he's going to get a shot on me, then I'm going to try and avoid him, right? But against someone like Tox, giving up even the smallest avenue, because most players wouldn't be able to hit those shots.
Yeah.
So against Tox in particular, it's like how much of the map gets cut off in these situations because you just have to respect his accuracy.
I'm just worried for Psygib now because Tox is feeling confident. And we know that when Tox is confident, that a lot of players in the world are going to struggle. Almost any, I'd say anybody in the world. It's just, it takes quite a lot for him to really get into that peak mental condition where he can play at his best. And I think that kind of one map win where he does get to play Slash and he does get to do what he does best, he's going to be feeling amazing right now.
And even on a map that Slash arguably wasn't as efficient in, when you compare it to something like a Blood Covenant or something, but we're now going into Ruins of Sarnath. It's going to be Galena, it's going to be Ranger. See if Psygib can pull something out here, or whether it's going to be 2-0 for the Terminator.
Let's have a look. Psygib coming off that loss. We're probably going to see a very different pace of game now. As Psygib having the more mobility-based champion, it's probably going to be up to him to decide whether or not the fights are going to be happening. Tox is going to need that control, especially if you have that burst DPS that you can get with the rocket and orb combinations. Right now it's just baiting into the lightning gun. Sees the heavy. A little bit of a wiggle and a weave.
And yeah, immediately giving up his position there, saying, you know what, I've just got a bad feeling about this one.
Yeah.
Kind of wasted a little bit of time at the very beginning, trying to kind of spring that trap near LG, or at least get some information at the very least. And then almost had a minute gone already, and Psygib hasn't been able to accomplish a huge amount. Toxic significantly stacked here, and that rocket connecting to give him some information. You know, Psygib's around the corner, but whoa, some fantastic rockets! Finish it with a rail, and that's a 1-0 for Psygib. Finally, that patience paid off.
Tox just got a little bit curious there. He still had the mega health behind him. He had to hurry a little bit because the heavy was spawning soon after. He does get it right off the spawn, but I feel like if Tox took a more conservative approach there, clearly he doesn't want to, he could have maintained that control and kept Psygib at bay. And then build for a frag maybe 30 seconds or so later. Lovely for El.
Yeah, it looks to me like Psygib's the one that's kind of turning that dial up now. And Toxic does demand that from you. The moment he's in his element and he's taking plenty of amazing shots, the ball is very much in your court to return the favor, which definitely sometimes can be no easy task. But Psygib up for the challenge so far.
Ledge grab. Players using the ledge grab as they can't avoid flying up in the air. Psygib's going to want to hold his position a bit. So still slightly paranoid that Tox is up by the connector. Hits a wonderful rail shot though. So Tox is going to think twice about pushing into this, but he's still moving forward, sneaking steadily closer, and somehow manages to win the mega health. That's a big play from him. We've got heavy coming up, but Tox is going to drop down to the LG, and that is going to be tying up the frag score.
I feel like it definitely wasn't even necessarily just the damage of the rocket, it was just how much it was able to push Psygib away, where even if he wanted to take the fight, it was no longer his choice to make.
You see the flames at the bottom. He has got 3 totems up. That is the extra health that is going to be given to him. Psygib has got to find where those totems are and get rid of them as soon as possible, because that's a big edge that gives to Tox. LG, we've got the orb. That's not bad damage whatsoever, but Tox is going to be taking the lead.
I know we've talked about Tox's rails for days, but the LG is also one of his absolute most dangerous weapons. And yeah, because there hasn't been the destruction of the totems yet, I don't think they'll last long, but even after this heavy, can Tox survive? Wow. How weak was Psygib there? 1 HP. I'm not surprised. Absolutely, but the heavy was what saved him there, and also the bonus of destroying those totems. Tox having to set them up again, which is going to just take valuable time.
I think he still managed to keep one at the top. Yeah, we can kind of see it through the X-ray there, so... I mean, maybe a 30-second reduction, but it looks like Psygib might be about to find it. He doesn't turn for... Oh, there we go. And it's important. You cannot ignore those. You've got to get rid of them. It's going to give a slight sound cue to Tox. He doesn't quite have time to get the Dire Orb over towards Connector, and it's going to allow Tox to secure another frag.
It's the danger of when you face a really competent Galena, and that LG just melted Psygib's health. Just need to sneeze on him when he's that weak, and you'll take him out. But it's not only the fact that you have to take out the totems, it does give Galena that information that, hey, where'd my totem go? You know, yeah, someone's going to be nearby. With an unofficial radar in effect, on top of being able to heal and dish out damage. The Mega gets taken, which is bad news for Psygib. Stack is very much against him, even though Toxic doesn't have a lot of ammo left.
He'll get there. He'll get there soon. There's like 2 bullets left that he needs for the kill. He hasn't got much LG. He doesn't want to go for the rail because it might present an opportunity for Psygib to get some more damage on him. And there we go. And eventually, Psygib, I think one of the bolts connected to the wall in front of him, and he's going to fall. But he does have a light armor off the start, so he can get himself some weapons now, providing he can dodge Toxic.
So that was just optimized weapon usage. You know, yeah, you had loads of rails, but why give the avenue for escape when you have the machine gun by itself? Some excellent rockets, and shoots the rail just a little bit too early. Very rare that you see Toxic too fast on the trigger finger, but again, the swap to machine gun once more. No rail needed when he's that weak. That's just good management of the opponent's health.
Psygib's not really landing the shots I'd expect him to. His rockets, I mean, they've been doing a fraction of the damage that he needs to have a chance in these fights. And Tox, I dare say, I mean, I think it's harsh to say having an easy time, but he's not receiving the same pressure that he was at the beginning of Awoken. That's the kind of rockets that Psygib needs. More of those. He has the jump up. Can he finish off the job at all? Now he's the one who's got the machine gun. But he's going to slip away. Feels like no armor and not even overstacked health. It's not enough to hang around.
Yeah, with Psygib definitely understanding that I've still got 5 minutes. If I can try and get some sort of positional advantage from this, it's still going to be a victory in itself. But you are going to be giving a little bit of time for, and because the totems haven't been discovered yet, that overstack. Toxic, I mean, he's just short of pretty much just getting a free mega before he's even picked up a mega. This is a good situation.
And Galena's seriously strong. Top. Bodson sneaks forward, tries to get a good rocket. He does. Psygib's getting the small splashy rockets. LG, but it's a little mid-air that Psygib gets. And he's going to try and get himself a touch closer to Tox's scoreline. But he slept so low after that fight. That is heavy. Is he going to drop down there? He's just found a totem. He's found 2 totems, I think.
Actually, a good thing that Toxic used the totem when he did, just to make sure he got the overstack property moments before he lost his totems. But Omega's up. He's healthy to potentially take this fight. If he can just make it, but he can't! Psygib beats him to the mark at the last second, and okay, here's an avenue to finally make something happen.
That was actually a huge fail. He's going to go. Does he want to go for the rail? That's super risky. Tox has a slightly bigger stack. Tox is going for the rail shot himself. I think that angle was so close.
I felt that one. I think we all felt that one.
I think Psygib definitely did too. But Mega's up in 10. Psygib's going to hold an angle for a moment, but he kind of needs to have a little bit of presence there himself. He's got no Dire Orb. Knows where he is. He misses the shot. Now he kind of needs to leave. Tox, he might have been thinking for going another rail. He does, but can't land it. 5 seconds to go for heavy. As Psygib, it's tricky to challenge.
I mean, honestly, it was even brave that Psygib chose to stay and hold that angle.
It was so important that he got the heavy, otherwise it sets him back like a minute. So I think he felt that taking the risk is worth it. He gets a direct, going in for the Dire. There's the rocket after. He's bringing it back to a 1-frag game. He's going to take down another totem. Again, can't emphasize the importance enough that he controls that utility game of Tox. We might even tie it up in a second. Rocket and another one. We're tied up, guys, 5-5.
And Psygib's patience for another time completely paying off. There were a couple of moments where he could have tried to be a bit more aggressive, but risked dying. And chose to get position advantage instead. That was a fantastic shot. But it is that patience to back up, restack up, keep Toxic behind, and now it is paying its rewards for him. Only 1 frag ahead, but a lead is a lead when you're a couple of minutes short of this game being over. Rocket jump into potentially death, but he's going to survive.
That was a bit much right there. He needs a little bit of stack. Oh my god.
Oh my god, Zoop. You know, I said I just felt that one. I felt that one even more.
Yeah, I felt that one more. And again, he's holding on, just urgently spamming any kind of entry damage that he can get if Tox is to move in. He's just desperate for that heavy. I think that's possibly one of the lackluster things from Tox recently in this game, is that there's not been much pressure at all on the heavy armor. I feel like Psygib's got off light on a couple of these instances.
Well, you're looking at when the fights inevitably break out, that Psygib almost entirely always has more armor in general, and like significantly more too. It does make a big difference here, and Psygib, Rocket forced away, no longer able to fight for the Mega even if he wanted to. But, I mean, straight back down to the heavy, which is where he's been able to set up shop pretty much for the entirety of this map now. And Toxic, not a mammoth task to get 1 frag, but when Psygib's going to start playing defensively, which I have no doubt he's doing now.
He takes a rail, but he's just taken down 3 totems. That was the overstack extra for Tox. You can see he's still wielding some good shots though from Tox. Psygib's just trying to keep himself in this position for long enough to pick up the Mega. Then he can cycle through to get the heavy. But it's very, very soon away. And if Tox drops down, he's not having it. Tox doesn't. He doesn't get the position. Psygib was confused and is expecting him down there already. But Tox is not going for the heavy armor at all.
I do wonder if that's going to bite him in the backside now. He's going to miss a rail, but I mean, okay, we have less than a minute. Psygib has a massive stack. He's not going to, well, I guess he will have at least one more dire roll, but opportunity to use it, I wonder. If he's playing super defensively, he might not even need to. But just the utility is going to be enough.
I think if he can defend the heavy one more time, then I think this match will be his. Tox, well, there's an extra little 40 damage from the totem behind. It's going to stop Tox moving through. There is the mega health up, so he can keep that stack going. Tox, is he going to actually drop on this occasion? Oh, it takes 100 damage rocket.
I feel like that 100 damage rocket might have actually just won the game, because it's just put Tox on such a crazy back foot.
Oh, wow.
All right, he has to land something. He has to land it right now. There it is. He needs to hit the rail, and he's going to hit his mark. Toxic is very, very weak, but there is significant distance. This is definitely going to be a sudden death. Toxic has to stack up and fast.
The next frag, guys, is going to determine the map winner. Tox looking to put himself on match point, or Psygib to tie things up. Tox is all out of rockets, is one thing to note. You can only get ammunition for it. Well, there's a pillar down there, or upstairs, but we've got Psygib moving in really hard and fast. Amazing roll, though, from Tox to keep Psygib at bay.
A little bit of downtime while both players are going to try and readjust their stack just a little bit. And now Tox actually on the heavy, and there's time for Mega. The Mega might be somebody's final resting place.
The Psygib can't commit to this. He needs to play a slow game. He's lost the last 2 heavy armors, and it's given Tox so much energy in this overtime.
This is bad news if you're Psygib.
He's got to just stay off the map, basically, for the next 30 seconds, I'd say. He needs 100, 100, and he needs to find a way to put some pressure onto Tox as he's trying to make his way to a major item.
No signs of that just yet, though, Zoop. Looks like Psygib is being extremely careful, and I honestly don't blame him. Being 2-0 down against Tox is going to be a pretty unfavorable position.
This could be the block that Psygib's trying to get. He's got the 100, 100. He needs to stop Tox moving around this corner. When he's already secured the mega health, Tox doesn't want to take the risk and just walk into some rockets. He hits a brilliant rail that's going to reduce a lot of armor and some of that overstack. And Psygib still wants to play it slow. In an ideal circumstance, Psygib gets probably another 2 minutes of this overtime. For Tox, he kind of wants to shut it down sooner rather than later.
Now you're noticing just how many of the players are walking here. No one wants to make an ounce of noise.
Information starving.
Uh-oh. Potentially, here we go.
Oh, God. Oh, the rocket. 81 damage. Psygib doesn't do a bad job in return.
Toxic was in a better position. He was able to retreat towards that mega. And now if he wants heavy, he can take it. He's got some information, caught him in a bad position. A little bit of a fake up, but I don't think that's going to be enough of anything. Honestly, the rocket finishes the job. And at the last second after that sudden death, Toxic is going to take the final frag that he needs, and now he's 2-0 up.
Yeah, I mean, that comeback from Tox, absolutely amazing. And it looks like Psygib just wasn't really sure what to do with his position anymore. He was going aggressive and trying to continue pressuring Tox. Like, I loved what he was doing with the rails, but I don't entirely know if he needed to do that. The fight over at the tri-bolt, he could have just backed away, hid around as a sort of heavy corner or something along those lines, and it could have been a safer map victory. Instead, he gets put out of control in overtime, and Tox was just not relinquishing control whatsoever. Yeah,
and when he finally got caught, I mean, it really is, when you're kind of caught there by the light armor, it can sometimes be a point of no return, depending on which kind of utility you have available to you. Tox he considered going down towards heavy, just to try and restack, and he kind of just checked the right-hand side just in case. Lo and behold, Psygib was there, and the dire orb, even if he tried to fake it out and jump towards LG, it wasn't enough to really keep Tox away. It was just a really unfortunate position to get caught in right at the end.
I was really scared. Oh, that's the bolt.
I mean, I think he was dead anyway, wasn't he?
I mean, he was.
By Tox's hand or his own, so do as you will with that information.
I thought Tox was going to lose the map based on the fact that he was neglecting the heavy armor completely.
And then it just felt like right at the end, he swapped it and then started just getting it for free.
Yeah, and then because he's got totems, a lot of the time he's able to get 3 of them up. He's just got such a large stack so often that it was, too difficult to fight against. But Tox, you can see, sigh of relief. He knows now that he's a map away from securing this game and securing that position in the global rankings.
Yeah, we are starting to reach our higher level prize matches in terms of the rankings that we currently have. And this was one of the matchups that I think we've kind of expected to be a bit potentially closer. I think we've all kind of projected Tox to win this, but I wouldn't have foresaw a 3-0 if that's what we're on the verge of. Oh my God. It's shots like that that really sets Tox apart. He had no stack. He needed to hit that. In all of these situations where you desperately need a rail, Tox is the man you put money on to hit the rails he needs to hit.
And it was Psygib getting caught off guard at the upper light armor, coming down to the teleport. That's a really nasty position. If you don't have information, you need to be spamming rockets towards the connector, otherwise you're in a lot of trouble. As soon as that LG started going on Psygib, I think it was over then.
So if you're 2-0 down versus Toxic, I guess the question is what kind of adjustments do you try and make? I know the map's kind of introduced a new layer every single time, and we'll be refreshed on what that final map's going to be in due time.
I think it looks like we got Molten Falls that's going to come.
See, I was trying to check the screen with my bad eyesight without even realizing the graphics had appeared up here. But cheers, guys. I thought it was Molten Falls as well. But
I think what Psygib needs to do is actually have a really slow game, because Tox really likes getting into fights that he can finish. He doesn't like being held back or slowed down. So the better defensive rockets that Psygib can have, the more that he can hit the opening rails instead of Tox. So I wouldn't really advise. I'd rather he just kind of hid for a while and try to play that silent control game.
Now we can definitely expect some fast-paced action here. It's Athena and Anarchy. Toxic, similar to his Slash, he has phenomenal movement here. And this could be the final map for Psygib. If he loses this one 3-0, he's done.
I mean, I don't know what kind of tricks we're going to see between these two players, but Anarchy and Athena can do some amazing things. We're going to have a fight right over at the rail area, and Tox is going to pick up first blood before he can blink. And Psygib's going to be set back over to LG. We'll get over to Tox, though, as he's just used the injection and invoked the power of speed. He has got weapons to work with, too, but slight little hiccup on the archway.
Yeah, unfortunate beginning. Psygib wasn't really equipped for the fight. You know, he had some health, and he had some stack to work with, but the moment there was a point-blank encounter, and that was a really, really good rocket. He needs a little bit more, but it's not enough to finish it. 2-0 for Toxic already, less than a minute. We already have a couple of frags under his belt, looking to score potentially another. That missed rail means I don't think he's going to really press too much just now.
Yeah, Tox in a little bit of trouble. I mean, he's got the weapons to work with and everything, but Psygib is now starting to pick up the weapons himself. Has got resources. And we can see that he's not afraid to be a little bit of aggressive. And it seems like that's what he wants to do now. He's 2-0 down. The algae comes out as well, and Psygib is on the board.
Really puts into perspective how important hitting those rockets is in this level. Like, you know, the moment you miss one rocket and do 0 damage, it's just unreturned, and Psygib's going to just pepper that LG into you. Information for Tox. Psygib going to be by.
I think he's just realized that the heavy was taken. So he's just staring back at it for a couple of seconds. He needs to keep that timing. It's really, really important he doesn't lose that.
Oh. Really nice little rocket there from Tox, actually. Again, it's more information. Both of them hit these nice little flicks, too. But Psygib needs to get himself some armor, and that's why he's hanging around. The moment you're available versus Tox on a map like this, you've got to be really careful.
Well, they just passed each other, I think. Yeah, Tox jumped over the shotgun. There's a plenty of hooks that Psygib has left, so he could get dirty in that fight if he wants to, but he's being a little bit safe. Gets a nice opening rail. He's looking to move in closer. 2 hooks, rail follow-up. Oh, he goes with the LG instead and sets Tox to 1 point of health. Tox will escape for the time being, but Psygib, I think he's going to try and get the heavy. He's just lost faith in his timing, so it should be a split on the major items.
Tox staying alive, but barely. One of the most intimidating situations to be in, because it's all about recovery at that stage. Wow. He's going to press the advantage, and the final rocket makes it 2-2. Psygib, his rockets have really woken up in this map.
Yeah, it's these pushes, he uses like 2 hooks to really get close. It's like going versus a Sorlag, but it's Athena, you know, and Sorlag is just jumping around the corners like 200, 200. It's terrifying. It's
a high-risk play, because I mean, if it goes pear-shaped, then you've used a lot of your hooks to go in.
Yeah.
You kind of delete your own ability to have that escape option if it doesn't work out for you. So you've got to be very, very confident that it's going to work. And fortunately for Psygib, it has worked every single time. I mean, the composure from this guy being 2-0 down and still making those good decisions. Very, very impressive, Zoo.
Oh, still got a fair job to do if he wants to bring us to a 4th map. We've got the heavy up in a second. Looks like he wants to challenge it here. Can't get that rail off. Having missed the chance, he might set back. You know, you're not at a frag deficit. There's no urgency at all. You want to pick the opportunities that are right for you. Tox used his injection recently, so he's got a really, really big stack. He wouldn't mind getting into a fight.
That's why Psygib's being so careful, not only trying to get information, but make sure that if Anarchy has a high chance of being stabbed up, because the moment you know his ability is ready, he has that instant pop of health, so you can't ever count this champion out.
Not going to be heavy. Up in a second. It's still a second away, and Tox is going to be able to take him down. I think Psygib had a miss time on the heavy, and that made that fight not work at all. Quickly going to switch over to the Mega Health. Psygib's going to take it, but his hooks are not working out. LG is doing everything for Toxic.
I think in the chaos of a fight like that, it's so easy to accidentally miss one of your hooks, and you just put yourself in a terrible position because you're stuck airborne, you've not got airborne mobility if you've run out, and if it's Tox's LG versus you stuck in the air, then, I mean, you know, say a prayer, mate.
Yeah, if you get the hooks right on the ledge, you can kind of like slip over onto it, and it can look pretty smooth, but yeah, as you say, in the heat of the moment, there comes the LG again, looking for a flick. Rail will quickly inject and back off. Psygib still has a little armor, going for another rail, and Tox does a sort of backward strafe to get himself out of trouble. And Psygib goes for one more, but Tox is going to keep that overstack.
And also rewarded by the light armor. And when you have HP this much, and like some of those smaller armors, it's still a great position, but he's got to be careful now. He's just run out. He's got to be very, very confident his LG's going to get the job done here. Trying to dodge with his best ability, but wow, the trail right at the last second. Psygib is going to fall again, and it's really starting to run away from him. This very slow, methodical play at the very beginning, taking fights fantastically well. But we're seeing what happens when the hooks work and when they don't work.
Well, there's the injection. He can move in really fast now. Just think he missed sound cue right at the end. And Mega is not going to be available, and he knows that definitely is time for heavy soon, so let's at least make sure we're in position for that. Has found Psygib. He's going in for another aggressive play. Hits one roll. He needs to land one more, but the 25 health ball's just been taken. 7 HP, and Psygib looks like he does not want to risk anymore, but he's around the corner. If Tox shows his face, well, it matters little in the end, as there's 2 25s there, and Psygib does not overcommit to the angle.
It wasn't a terrible decision by Psygib to kind of hold that angle for just a little bit. If Toxic was a little bit too aggressive there, went around the corner, kind of risked himself eating a rail, Psygib's in a position where he does kind of need to start mounting something that resembles a comeback here. He's constantly having these amazing starts, and then just the momentum is stolen away by Toxic almost halfway.
He's right below him. Tox has no idea. That's going to be the heavy taken. It's a huge trap from Psygib. That works out amazingly for him. Still has full overstack. He's got the Mega Health up in a moment. He really wants to chase Tox up the spawn. And I think he would if he stayed there for a fraction of a second longer. He would have heard Tox moving around the corner.
It's the instant turn of momentum. He gets one amazing play. Toxic takes the bait. And this might be the play that puts Psygib back in the action. He needs it. We are somewhat running out of time here. He needs 2 to tie things up.
I think the good thing about both these champions, they can both be chased and chase. You know what I mean?
It's definitely a different matchup. You know, when we saw our very first Rise match of the day.
Tox's lightning gun, it hurts. There's going to be a sort of load. There is a Tox outstacked, but still winning the fight.
And that's the level of respect you have to show to someone with combat skills like Tox, where just because you have more stack doesn't necessarily mean you're going to come off better in the fight. If he out-LGs you, your health will melt regardless of whether you like it or not. Psygib, he's laying on the pressure. He can't let Toxic run away with this momentum. Gets one good rail, but eats one himself. And yeah, he has some play-no games. If Toxic chases it and he's railable, you're dancing with the devil, really.
Some good movement still from Psygib. Keep himself alive there because Tox was hunting down those angles. We've got the Mega up. Tox knows he's going to have to shoulder pick that one and avoids the rail that Psygib's looking for. In the next minute, Psygib needs to be initiating some fights.
These missed rails are going to put him in a bad spot, though.
Yeah.
At any moment, Toxic could just turn those on him, especially when he knows he has the superior stack. But
Psygib really needs rock down. Okay, speaking of the devil, he finds the crate there. He's going to put himself up to 10 there with the spawn. And he needs to hold now the Mega Health. Losing it, okay. He knows that he can secure it. Tox has got the light armor position, and now it's all about the heavy. But he's used all of his hooks at the moment. There are some hourglasses now that are going to reduce those cooldowns. He's not going for it.
But a lot of these just general rockets, they're rarely even hitting too, so Psygib was kind of starved of information. He's going to press this one. He has to. He knows he has more stack. He's not quite able to get the damage on the super shotgun, except for the last shot, which hits the mark exactly as it needs to.
I think his lightning gun's been a little bit off, but he's still been picking the right weapons when he needs them. There's the rockets and the rail to follow up. There he goes with the LG. We've tied things up here with a minute and a half to go.
And it's similar to Ruins, you know, he's not being overly aggressive, he's still waiting patiently.
Oh!
My word, what a rocket! That's now going to put Psygib one frag up. And this was a turn of momentum he so desperately needed to. Is he going to get another one? Toxic now, caught in a bad position.
He needs to not be railable. He needs to not be railable! There were health bubbles on the side and he didn't go for them. Huge rail from Toxic.
And a costly mistake. At this level of playing Quake, it is remarkable how one small little error in judgment can cost you so much. Let's hope this doesn't completely bite Psygib.
Oh! These are such difficult rails to hit, Ketchup. These are unbelievable from Tox.
You know, I said earlier, if there's one player you can bet hits the rails they need to, Tox is the man for the job. And he's just stolen this win away. It felt like that should have been a comeback from Psygib, but the rails just continue to add.
This is almost unrecoverable at the moment. Toxic, he's looking for the 3-0. Secure himself those global rankings. Psygib is going to be in desperation mode at the moment, and he is going to regret moving into that rail angle before. He does get himself heavy. He needs to use some hooks to close the gap. He has to take every single risk. But now Tox,
that's it.
He's fading away, guys. Ladies and gents, this is GG. Toxic is going to be beating Psygib.
It really puts into perspective just how talented Toxic is as a player. This guy's a Quake legend. And everyone at home just saw exactly why that's the case.
I mean, sometimes it's not even just the rails that he's hitting, it's how he puts himself in a position where he can even go for those angles. It's really, really good presence of mind from him. Spectacular.
He's just, I mean, it's not even like Psygib played poorly either. He did play so well. It's just those weird little situations. It's like, he's not going to hit a rail here. And then he just finds that like pixel-wide gap. You know what I mean? It's very tricky to face off against, and that's why Toxic is just such a legendary player at this point.
Well, I'm sure Wheat can help us break this one down a little bit. What a game that was.
Well, I can't. One of the things that I have to imagine is so annoying playing against Toxic is that there were so many instances where he saw you first and usually had his LG out, and it was like goodbye 40, 50, 60 health. And so, I mean, it's almost, you could see the frustration in Psygib as it's just like, I want to take these fights, but Toxic is just finding an immediate advantage. And I don't know, it's just really impressive. I mean, we talk about Toxic's LG for decades, right? And he didn't disappoint because he certainly put on a show with that today, so.
I thought his rail was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I've been saying that word so often, but it's not getting tiring at all because it's been absolutely spectacular. And I think his movement on top of that is sometimes I see some inconsistencies with it, but I think he was really, really on point. And I feel like we saw a confident Toxic today.
Yeah, sometimes the machine just has to get online, and this was one of those moments. There's so many of these maps where he was on form, and you notice that consistently Psygib kind of had the edge at the very beginning, but then the second Tox found his flow, it was over before it even began.
Yeah, I mean, you guys commented on the first couple minutes of that first match, and you know, even said like, okay, there's the record. Needle found the groove. This is kind of what we expect to see, and you know, it's just kind of a, I don't know if that's a frag movie or a highlight movie right now. If there was some bumping music behind it, then.
It's crazy to believe that's just highlights from one series and not an entire tournament either.
Yeah. Some remarkable play here in the third prize fight matchup. Just phenomenal.
Man, I thought that actually for Psygib, I think credit to him as well for giving such great games. I just think it was the last moment of two maps where he just got a little bit flustered, making some mistakes, and you give Tox an opportunity, he's going to take it.
And he's here with us now. First off, Tox, congratulations. Big round of applause.
Thank you.
For his victory over Psygib. 3-0, the first 3-0 that we've seen today. Everyone also predicted that you were going to be the winner. But I want to ask you a quick question about your legacy, because you're someone that I casted for many, many years online and at LANs, and here you are, still as strong as you have always been. But what's it feel like to be here after all of these years still competing at this level?
I really enjoy playing competitive. That's why I'm doing it. I have always find it very interesting to go to these tournaments, and it's something you look forward to, and it's why it's fun to like keep playing even back home, because you usually have something to play for, and that's what it's all about.
Awesome, awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about the matchup. What questions you guys got?
I've got a question about Ruins, actually, because there was a long period of time on the map where you didn't go for the heavy armor at all. And I was wondering, is this like an honest miss time at all, or is there a particular strategy that you wanted to hold the higher ground? What was the thinking behind it?
I wanted to kind of cycle both items, but I tried to have a split between them. But it seemed like each time I tried to make a move, I was always eating like 2 direct rockets. And I was respecting the combination with rocket and Diorb. Like if you drop down to heavy and he's standing around the corner, even if you're completely in control of the map, you can just lose it in a second. So at some point I was trying to play it a little bit more conservative, but he was doing a lot of ship damage all the time, so I couldn't really feel confidence to just rush into him. And I think he played well on Ruins.
One thing I've always actually really want to ask you, especially from some of those maps that we just saw, is there are so many situations in those maps where it kind of looked like Psygib had somewhat of an edge, but you just hit that one tiny little rail from an almost impossible angle, and you're obviously famous for doing those. Like, is there anything that goes through your head during matches other than just like muscle memory of combat skill? Because I know you play a lot of death matches and stuff when you're not doing the competitive modes. Do you feel like playing the sheer amount of deathmatch that you do really helps you in those situations? Because normally there's just chaos everywhere, right?
Yeah, I think it helps to be more consistent because there is always so much action going on. But I would say my game style is like, I don't really get too stressed if I'm like if I'm behind a few frags, because I usually know like if I actually just get like the full control, I'm more confident that I will make more frags faster compared to what my opponent are doing. So I'm constantly just trying to find like the situation where I feel comfortable. Like I really don't engage in fights most of the time if I don't like know that I'm in favor. Not so much about the stack wise, but if I have a better position and I know that if we will be trading damage, I usually will end up with the last angle of the shot. So that's how I'm usually thinking about it.
Can I ask you a quick question about, I think that a lot of people would agree too that you are a player with the skill set and the legacy and could, take that belt. What is your outlook for this year? This is one prize fight, one step closer, but obviously you want that belt by the end, but what do you feel like you need to do in order to make sure that that is on your shoulder, around your waist by the time QuakeCon 2020 rolls around?
I think I just have to keep playing a lot more, and as well maybe trying to find other champions options maybe to play around a little bit, see if I can find a way that suits me a bit better. I know I should be playing a bit more aggressive. Just in general, this tournament, I felt like I had really close games against everyone, actually. But I couldn't really, get a break in a few of those games. Like, constantly were, not favored to me, basically. So I know it could go like either way. Like when you play, at least within the top 10 players, on any given day, you can lose and you can beat anyone. But in the end, it's always like the small details. Like maybe you make a mistake here and there, and sometimes maybe you should have hit another shot that you are supposed to hit. And everything, that's the fun part about Quake. Like a small detail changed the game completely.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we look forward to watching your journey throughout this year. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, give it up for Toxic, the Terminator, and his win in the prize fight over Psygib. We're not done yet. In fact, we still have quite a bit left to go. Coming up next, it's Base versus Avic right here at the Quake Pro League Season 1 kickoff. Don't go away. We'll be right back.